What is up, ladies and gentlemen? But most of all, you ladies out there, thanks for clicking on another episode of Break the Silence. I am your host, Cyborg. Grizzlies, Timberwolves. Split cap! We just got done watching an absolutely electric matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Memphis Grizzlies. A game in which the Memphis Grizzlies won 128-107. This was a rematch of last year's first round playoff series between the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. Two teams that clearly don't like each other. It was a series that went 7 games last year and went back and forth. There's a lot of trash talk that happens, but it features two of the best young guards in the entire NBA in Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards, two guys that I can't wait to watch grow. They'll be the future of this league, and those two guys will dominate for a long time and have many, many great battles. Tonight, Ja Morant and the Grizzlies got the best of the Timberwolves. But the Grizzlies weren't just great tonight because of Ja Morant, even though he was fantastic. The Grizzlies are a very good basketball team for so many other reasons. They have been struggling mightily as of late. Before tonight, they were 2-8 in their last 10, but they've won 2 games in a row now, and they're starting to get back on track. When we look at this Western Conference, that's something you got to start to do because it is now loaded with the trade deadline and everything that happened there. So these are important games for the Memphis Grizzlies to win to keep that 2 seed in the Western Conference. We're going to get into that. We're going to break it all down. But before we do, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're up over 1,000 subscribers and we're going to keep grinding. We are grinding harder than ever. I can't wait to keep growing the channel, keep growing with y'all. Appreciate all the support. Let's keep going. First off, I want to start with congratulating both Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. Anthony Edwards was named to his first All-Star game as a replacement, and Ja Morant is now named the starter for Steph Curry in the NBA Western Conference. I believe Ja Morant should have been the starter over Steph anyway because of how many games Steph had missed, but ultimately it was fan voted. Steph got more votes. But Ja Morant, well-deserved, absolute stud, absolute great personality for the league. Ja Morant takes every game he plays personally. And that's what I love to watch about him. And that's what I love to watch about this Memphis Grizzlies team. Every time I watch them, they play angry. They play physical. They enjoy playing the game of basketball. And it's an absolute joy to watch. But Ja Morant tonight had 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. But again, he is not the only reason they won. They do so many good things around him, and we have seen incredible development from a couple guys. Jaren Jackson Jr. tonight had 15.6 rebounds and 4 blocks. Now, it was at home, so we're not sure if Jaren Jackson had 10 blocks tonight or if he had 0, but they registered it at 4. I'm obviously joking with that. I know that was a big thing that went around the internet, that they were incorrectly doing that. Memphis fans, don't get mad at me. I'm rocking the city jersey from the Grizzlies. This is the best city jersey in the NBA, in my opinion, the Memphis Grizzlies city jersey. Desmond Bane tonight had 20.7 rebounds, 4 assists. Santi Aldama had 18 points, 4 rebounds, was absolutely electric. And Brandon Clark had 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, including a couple big buckets in the fourth quarter to kind of put that game out of reach for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So what do the Memphis Grizzlies do so good? Well, obviously it starts with their point guard. It starts with Ja Morant, dude who's number 2 in the league in drives. But the Memphis Grizzlies lead the league in points in the paint. They went up against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight with Rudy Gobert, the supposed best defensive rim protector in the entire NBA, and they went in there and they absolutely dominated Rudy Gobert in the paint. Now, I would take Jaren Jackson over Rudy Gobert defensively, but that's another argument for another day. But they went in and absolutely dominated Rudy Gobert. How were they able to do so? Because Ja Morant is so good in the pick and roll. He's the number 1 pick and roll guy in points per game. So when he has the ball in his hand and someone comes up and set a screen, Rudy Gobert has no idea how to defend that because he drops so low. Ja Morant just goes straight at him, and Rudy Gobert has no answer for Ja Morant, a quick guard like Ja. Ja Morant tonight was also hitting the 3 ball. He hit three balls. And if he starts to get that consistently in his game, it's over for the league because that guy will be unstoppable. The Memphis Grizzlies, though, in my opinion, their entire playoff run will be dependent on 2 guys, Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. And why do I say that? We know Ja Morant is great. And in the Western Conference, we have a lot of great players. We have Nikola Jokic. We now have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker. We have John Morant. We have Luka Doncic. But a lot of times what it comes down to is your second and third piece. Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson was voted to the All-Star game, and rightfully so. Guy's a fantastic basketball player, fantastic defender. Usually defense doesn't get valued as high when it comes to the All-Star game, but I'm super excited for Jaren Jackson Jr. that he's got an All-Star notch under his belt. Desmond Bane was on pace to be an All-Star before he got hurt. I was riding the Desmond Bane train early. Desmond Bane is averaging for the season 21.6 points, 4.8 rebounds, 4.1 assists. He's a guy that's taken such a big step forward and is able to do so many great things on the court now. He really is. He's creating shots for others. He's able to shoot the three ball. He can take it to the basket. And that tandem, that backcourt tandem of John Morant, Desmond Bane, one of the best backcourts in the entire NBA. And I can't wait to watch how they develop. But in the playoffs, having those three, having that core three who can play at an extremely high level, three guys that are all-star caliber players, is vitally important. When you look at the Western Conference now, with Kevin Durant coming out west to the Suns, they have 3-4 guys that are, right around that all-star level player, depending on how Chris Paul and Ayton play. The Dallas Mavericks have Kyrie Irving, Luka Doncic. The Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon. A lot of these teams have a lot of quality players. So the Memphis Grizzlies getting the development of Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson was of the utmost importance. And in the playoffs last year, they got real playoff experience, which we know the value of that. Teams don't just hop into the playoffs for the first time and make a run to the finals. Getting in a hard-nosed series against Minnesota in the first round, and then another tough series against the Warriors in the second round. Now we know John Morant went down with an injury, so we didn't get to see what Memphis would have done. But that experience is going to be so valuable. But there's also, it doesn't end there for Memphis. They're number 2 in the league in defense. So they defend at a really high level. And this is led by Jaren Jackson and Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks can go against the opposing team's best player and play defense at a high level. Now, Dillon Brooks fouled out tonight, but he was doing a very good job on Anthony Edwards before he fouled out. But Dillon Brooks is a very high-level defender, one of the best perimeter defenders we have in the NBA. So when you got Jaren Jackson Jr., Dillon Brooks, Steven Adams is a good rebounder defender. That's another thing. The Memphis Grizzlies are number 2 in the league in rebounding. They're number 2 in blocks, so number 4 in steals. They're also number 2 in transition points per game. Why is that important? When you play defense at a high level, you can get out and transition. When you get steals, when you contest shots, they miss threes, you get out in transition, those are easy buckets. Those are the buckets that you really like when it comes playoff time, when shots are hard to come by and teams are strategizing for you. When you can get a stop and get out in transition, get that opposing team on their heels, get them out of position, that has so much value. And that's why the Memphis Grizzlies have so much talent and so many things that they can go to when the playoffs come around. They got a young guy named Roddy. Guy is a big boy, very physical. Conchar can shoot the three ball tonight, played 27 minutes, only had 3 points. And then they got Xavier Tillman in the starting lineup tonight, had 9.6 rebounds, 3 assists. He played very well tonight. So the Memphis Grizzlies have, let me pull up their stats. They go about 10 guys deep that can actually play in the NBA. Ja, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dillon Brooks, Brandon Clark, I forgot to mention, very good defender and a very good developing offensive player. Tyus Jones hasn't really, he's averaging 10 points a game, but he's a good offensive player. Santi Aldama, Steven Adams, very good rebounder, defender. David Roddy, Zaire Williams, and then Conchar, Xavier Tillman as well. But you have all these guys, and then it sounds like they're going to cut Danny Green from what I hear, buy him out. But we'll see what happens there. The Memphis Grizzlies have a team that defends at a high level, that gets out in transition, that finishes their possessions rebounding. It's so important that when you defend, when you get stops, that you also grab the rebound. That's what a lot of teams struggle with. Some teams are all right defensively at forcing misses, but if you're not able to clean the glass up after, then it doesn't matter. They're led by a superstar in John Morant, a guy with uber confidence. John Morant, for the season is averaging, let me get this pulled up real quick, But John Morant, I just had it pulled up. John Morant for the season averaging 27.4 points, 8.3 assists. He's in the top 10 in MVP votes. They're number 2 in the Western Conference. And the Memphis Grizzlies are going to turn this around. I'm very confident. But when it comes playoff time, you're going to have a dogfight in the Western Conference. And I can't wait to watch what they're able to do this year. On the other side of the ball, the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards is a stud. Memphis did a great job against him tonight. I can't stand the Rudy Gobert trade. Every time I watch Minnesota, I can't stand that trade. Rudy Gobert is a nice basketball player in the regular season sometimes, but he's also so easily exposed, and Memphis just exposed him tonight. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what Minnesota does. I don't know if you're able to trade Gobert and see if you can get some of those assets back. I'm not sure that another team would trade for him. Or do you try to trade Karl Anthony Towns and see if you can get another high-level player? Minnesota's, to me, is in a weird spot because I think they have a great young player in Anthony Edwards, and I think they made a really bad mistake trading for Rudy Gobert. That's all we got for you as far as this game. We're going to go watch another one. We're going to react to that one as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's what we got.